From filmmaker Tom McLoughlin comes the mighty sixth entry of the infamous Friday the 13th franchise, the 1986 slasher epic that marks the franchise's first full-blown step into the realm of the supernatural. Featuring a fantastic array of characters, some brilliantly funny yet scary moments, an absolutely killer soundtrack, and a version of Jason Voorhees unlike anything we've seen before, let's take a look at Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. For as far back as I can remember, Jason Lives has been my favorite film in the Friday the 13th franchise, standing tall as the epitome of not just what a perfect Jason movie should be, but what a perfect slasher movie should be. And on that note, Jason Lives is also my favorite horror movie of all time, so you can already get somewhat of an idea of how beloved this movie is for me, not just because of childhood nostalgia, but because of how enjoyable the film continues to be, how different of a slasher movie it still is, and how much of an absolute blast it is to watch. Once this movie starts, it starts, and for its entire runtime, you as the viewer are riding a roller coaster of horror and suspense and comedy that never lets up until the movie is over. Jason Lives is an absolute adventure from start to finish.
I'll order up some body bags.
Our boy sure wants us to believe his story.
Well, he picked the right day to pull this shit.
What do you mean?
Happy Friday the 13th.
The film begins with Tommy Jarvis, now an adult, yet still very much tormented by the nightmarish memory of Jason Voorhees. Intent on ensuring that Jason is indeed truly dead, Tommy travels to the cemetery where Jason is buried. In an ill-conceived attempt to confront and overcome his fears, Tommy exhumes Jason's body. However, things go terribly wrong when lightning strikes a metal rod that Tommy had plunged into Jason's corpse, miraculously resurrecting the infamous murderer as an undead force of nature. With his superhuman strength enhanced, Jason sets out on a killing spree once again, determined to return to his original stomping grounds, Camp Crystal Lake. After attempting to warn the local authorities about Jason's return, Sheriff Jarvis dismisses Tommy's crazy ramblings and believes Tommy himself to be a potential threat, and jails him for the night. Meanwhile, Jason quickly gets back to his old habits, taking out various victims in and around the camp, including camp counselors and anybody else unfortunate enough to cross his path on the way there. As the body count rises, Megan, the sheriff's daughter, who is smitten with Tommy, becomes convinced of his sincerity regarding Jason Voorhees and helps him escape. Together, they devise a plan to trap Jason in the lake for good. In the climactic battle, Tommy manages to chain Jason to a boulder and submerge him in the lake. While this doesn't kill the seemingly unkillable murderer, it does trap him underwater, bringing about a temporary end to Jason's undead reign of terror. Despite the financial success of Friday the 13th: A New Beginning, its poor reception led producers, determined to not further distance Friday fans, to recalibrate the series' direction after Part 5. Frank Mancuso Jr. brought on Tom McLoughlin, the director of One Dark Night, to guide this change. McLoughlin, inspired by the 1931 Frankenstein and other similar horror archetypes, reinvented Jason Voorhees as a supernatural entity, and connecting Jason Lives directly to the final chapter, with the events of Part 5 not necessarily excised, but simply not addressed directly. This new direction incorporated action, meta-humor, and references to classic Gothic horror, such as Edgar Allan Poe, with nods to McLaughlin's Catholic upbringing, making Jason Lives the first film in the series with explicit references to the supernatural. McLaughlin also introduced self-aware humor, with the characters commenting on horror movie tropes and even breaking the fourth wall.
Some folks have a strange idea of entertainment.
While Jason Lives was initially considered a direct sequel to A New Beginning, survivors Pam and Reggie were meant to die early in the story. But once John Shepherd, the Tommy Jarvis from Part 5, dropped out of the project entirely, the termination of returning contracts for other New Beginning surviving cast members ensued, and A New Beginning itself, as previously mentioned, was sort of just not talked about, narratively, within the runtime of Jason Lives.
Don't beat him up too bad, Dad. He's kind of cute.
Megan, leave.
Mancuso wanted the final girl of Jason Lives to be a, quote, very attractive blonde, leading to the selection of Jennifer Cook from the TV show V. Ron Palillo, known for Welcome Back Kotter, played Hawes, Tommy's short-lived sidekick. John Shepherd, who played Tommy in Part 5, declined to return for religious reasons and was replaced by Tom Matthews, known for The Return of the Living Dead. Director Tom McLaughlin cast familiar actors, including David Kagan as Sheriff Garris and his wife Nancy. After one day of filming, Mancuso replaced stuntman Dan Bradley with C.J. Graham, a local restaurant manager and ex-soldier, as Jason Voorhees, due to dissatisfaction with Bradley's on-screen presence, although Bradley's scenes in the paintball sequence were retained in the film. Graham was discovered after playing Jason in a stage show, catching the eye of the film's special effects coordinator, Martin Becker.
Nikki, somebody's out there. What if it's that guy Jason?
I don't want to know.
Unique to the franchise, Jason Lives features no nudity, a deliberate choice by director Tom McLaughlin to diverge from the series' trope of punishing premarital relations. Though producers pressured her for a topless scene, actress Darcy DeMoss declined.
Will you go out and plug the cord back in?
Who unplugged the cord?
Smokey the freaking bear. I don't know. Just go do it.
Do you know how cold it is out there?
I don't give a shit, Court. Go do it.
The film was primarily shot in Covington, Georgia, while the campground scenes were shot at Camp Daniel Morgan in Georgia. Interestingly, a portion of the climactic lake scenes were filmed in McLaughlin's father's pool. Director McLaughlin's vision for a distinct Friday the 13th film was met with studio demands for added violence and gore. While the original edit had 13 deaths as a nod to the film's title, the studio's insistence led to the inclusion of 3 additional deaths. Among the alterations, Sissy's death was also extended for added brutality. Controversy also arose regarding the film's conclusion. Originally scripted to end in the graveyard with the introduction of Jason's father, Elias, the studio rejected this due to concerns about explaining Elias's backstory in subsequent sequels. This scene was meant to address a continuity error concerning Jason's supposed cremation, passingly talked about by the mayor in Part 5, but since this ending never materialized, the mayor's assertions in A New Beginning can simply be chalked up to misinformation.
His body was cremated. He's nothing but a handful of ash.
You know that for sure, Mayor? Were you there? Did you see him cremated?
Jason Voorhees.
Yeah.
I can't believe this.
Here.
This is your Jason Voorhees here. This.
McLaughlin filmed 3 separate endings. 2 were rejected for their ambiguous portrayal of Jason's fate, leading to the accepted finale, highlighting Jason's still-opened eye beneath the water, signaling for his potential return in a subsequent sequel.
Does he think I'm a farthead?
The The spooky landscape of the film was enriched by the compositions of Harry Manfredini, a staple of the series at that point, having crafted the scores for all of the prior installments. And I have to say, when it comes to the franchise as a whole, Manfredini usually does fantastic work, but with Jason Lives, he absolutely knocked it out of the park. I mean, this score is by far the best score out of the entire franchise, and is one of those scores that, whenever you hear a composition from it, you feel totally immersed in the world of the film, whether you're actually watching the movie or not. It's fantastic, fantastic stuff. Manfredini really outdid himself on Jason Lives. However, the auditory experience of the film was not just limited to Manfredini's iconic arrangements. It also boomed with a selection of songs from the mighty Alice Cooper, as well as a track from Felony. Cooper's distinctive rock edge echoed throughout the film, with tracks like He's Back, Teenage Frankenstein, and Hard Rock Summer. The latter two are from his Constrictor album, while Hard Rock Summer can be found in the box set titled The Life and Crimes of Alice Cooper. Adding more texture to the soundtrack was the song I'm No Animal by Felony, hailing from their album Vigilante. Alice Cooper's He's Back, the man behind the mask, was particularly celebrated, even spawning a music video that married scenes from the film with exclusive new footage showcasing Cooper, as well as C.J. Graham himself in Jason Voorhees attire. In 1986, Simon Hawke penned a novelization of Friday the 13th Part 6. Intriguingly, the book includes a portrayal of Mr. Voorhees, Jason's father, whose appearance was intended for the film, but was eventually omitted. Additionally, the novel delves deeper into Jason's early life and further develops the histories of characters like Tommy and Sheriff Garris. Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, is the quintessential entry in the Friday the 13th series, with its perfect blend of horror, humor, and iconic Jason Voorhees moments. This chapter in the series possesses a unique charm and style, distinguishing it from its predecessors and successors. Over the years, fans and critics alike have continuously held it in high regard, praising its craftsmanship and its distinctive take on the infamous Masked Killer. And among the series' long line of sequels, prequels, and reboots, the only other film that arguably comes close to achieving the reverence and acclaim of Part 6 is the final chapter.
A dead fuck?
Jason Lives stands out not only for its story, but also for its impressive technical and creative aspects. The score is hauntingly memorable, while the soundtrack perfectly complements the film's tone. Cinematography-wise, the movie is a treat. It possesses a smooth, efficient quality that is both simple yet artful. The lighting and mood create an undeniably tantalizing atmosphere, immersing the viewers into the chilling world of Camp Crystal Lake. Each frame is crafted with purpose, and it's evident that a great deal of thought went into the film's visual language. The ensemble of characters brings the narrative to life in the most riveting of ways. Tom Matthews, portraying the character of Tommy Jarvis, delivers what many believe to be the ultimate rendition of the character, myself included. Megan shines as a captivating final girl, while David Kagan's portrayal of Sheriff Garris steals the show, setting a gold standard for sheriffs in horror cinema. The comedic elements are cleverly infused without detracting from the spine-tingling terror. Instead, they enhance the overall viewing experience, striking a good balance that many horror films strive for but rarely achieve.
You got a description of plates?
I got the whole enchilada. It's a 77 orange Camaro, license number Mary William 8510.
That's my daughter's car.
How do you want us to proceed?
Extreme care, asshole. If that kid is with her, there's every good chance he'll do something crazy.
Yet, Central to the film's success is its titular antagonist, Jason Voorhees. This iteration of Jason, brought to life by C.J. Graham, is the definitive portrayal of the character. While predecessors like Ted White and successors like Kane Hodder left their commendable marks on the character, it's Graham's embodiment that feels the most iconic, for me at least. His interpretation seamlessly combines the human and supernatural facets of Jason Voorhees, making him the embodiment of fear while retaining a slight touch of the tragic. When I envision Jason Voorhees, it's this version that looms largest, a testament to the lasting impact of Jason Lives. I also need to point out how hilarious it is to me that, since Jason was dead and buried at the start of this movie, and Tommy Jarvis, like an idiot, chose to dig him up, leading to lightning striking and bringing Jason back to life in the first place, as the unkillable zombie we all know and love, then one could say that every single death linked to Jason Voorhees, from the events of Part 6 onwards, was the indirect result of Tommy Jarvis's dumb decision to dig up Jason in the first place. I mean, come on, Jarvis. I actually made a meme about this several years ago, so if you've ever seen this meme floating around the interwebs, just know it was yours truly who did it. Jason Lives is an absolute blast from start to finish, and Tom McLaughlin absolutely made a monster of a film here, pun intended, and my only wish is that we had a 4-hour extended cut to sink our teeth into. Here's to hoping for that someday. With all that said, Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, is a crystal skull.